I'm the best in the world.
What I'd like to have right now.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Because I was right, because I was cool.
Are you ready?
It doesn't matter!
I said, are you ready?
I'm a sexy beast, baby!
I was up all night.
And
Oh, yeah, it is the For Life podcast. We are 1 week away from the WWE Royal Rumble 2014 version. Lots to talk about, lots to discuss, a lot of disputes, or at least on my end. I don't know how you feel, but I'm sure you're going to at least chime in, if nothing else. For Life podcast, when you listen to your podcast, you listen to it for life. Cheyenne, my main man here, the Bosch Beanbag. How are we going to kick things off here before we got to do a McDonald's run?
I guess we can start with Raw.
Let's do Raw.
How about that babyface turn by Daniel Bryan?
I enjoyed it, and, you know, I'm going to tell you, I think Daniel Bryan did something that hasn't been done in a while for a face turn, his presentation of it.
Yeah.
I really just enjoyed him going in the corner and just slowly
that
doing
was
the
pretty
finger
good, yeah.
chants. That was cool, and the arena was with it. You know, to a average Raw, you know, that was definitely the highlight. That's what stole it. The number 2 is Roman Reigns' performance.
Yeah.
I think Roman Reigns, not creative, is getting it in his head like, you know, the outcome is going to be me, you know, coming out on top of this.
Mm-hmm.
Every week I have to do just a little highlight to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So, I thought the ending was great. I thought Daniel Bryan, even though it was in fact too soon, I do think it was a great turn back to face.
I think that was one of my biggest disputes when he first did the turn. It was just that the Rumble was coming up, and I thought like he couldn't go into the Rumble as a heel unless he was going to do the turn at the Rumble,
right? Which
and
you mentioned on the show.
And I felt like it would have just been overshadowed unless like the only thing I would have thought of if they were like the first 2 guys,
right?
And he just eliminated him from the bat and then just
Right.
went on to kick ass in the Rumble. I mean, it would have been it might have been a bit too complicated to do with the Rumble. So and then with Batista's return coming up on Monday night, it would have overshadowed.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying maybe that's why it was done so soon.
Because it was either going to be the Rumble or this Monday, but I think Batista's return would have overshadowed Daniel Bryan's babyface turn.
Right.
And I see those two probably being the last 2 in the Rumble.
What, Bryan and Batista? I think that's a fair stake. What number do you think Batista's drawing?
He's going to draw a higher number. He's going to come in later in the Rumble, closer to 30.
I'm calling Cena for 1 or 2.
Cena's in the title match.
Oh, that's right. Second on order. Never mind. I call Cena for nothing.
I think Daniel Bryan's going to get an earlier number, and Batista will get a later number in the Rumble.
I'm actually going to go Daniel Bryan 10, and I'm going to go Batista 23.
23? Okay.
So we should write that down to remember.
Well, next week I wanted to do some predictions.
Yeah? Well, I'm
like
going
a
to
few categories.
I'm going to write on this crappy napkin now, just to have it in my book. So I'm going to go D-Bry, what did I just say? I don't even remember. 10 for D-Bry, and I went 24 or 3 for Batista just now.
23
for Dave. Okay. Not a problem. So those are my first 2
I think the
predictions.
final, I'm predicting the final 4 will probably be Punk, Reigns, Batista, and Bryan.
I don't think Reigns is going to do Final 4.
Really? You think?
I don't think so.
Unless I can see Batista being the one to eliminate.
When Diesel had the big spot, did he do Final 4 that year?
No.
Right?
Sean eliminated him.
Kane did, though. Kane, when he did his big thing, he was
Kane
Final
was
2.
Final 2.
Final 2. So
the only thing I can see happening...
You went Punk, Batista, Reigns, and who else?
Punk, Batista, Reigns, and Bryan.
And Bryan, okay.
It's kind of hard to predict because unless this all happens before Bryan comes into the Rumble, I can see Roman Reigns having his elimination fest.
Also true.
Before Bryan comes in and Bryan eliminates him, or Batista eliminates Reigns. I can see, like, because I was watching Rumble 97, you know, and, like, Austin eliminates everybody, and, like, guys come in one by one.
Yeah. That was when he had the bounty on him. That was a good angle, too.
No, 96.
No, 90, that's the Simpsons again. They're so rude. 98 is the bounty.
No, 97 was the year with Brett.
With Brett, when he rolled back in.
It led up to Brett's eventual entrance,
yes,
where Austin was shocked. And I can see, I kind of pictured that with, like, Roman Reigns, where he eliminates the Shield. He eliminates a bunch of jobbers, a few like higher mid carders, and then that's when Batista comes in. But then that would mean that Bryan can't be in there for that moment. So I see Bryan having like a long performance in the Rumble.
And then on top of that, you know, I think we just the elephant in the room. Daniel Bryan apparently has a concussion.
Yeah.
So and it's apparently a concussion. It's not something that's going to be ignored.
It's like a Ziggler concussion.
That much hasn't been announced yet. I do know that Ziggler, in theory, has a higher chance of being in the Rumble on Sunday because his happened already 2 weeks ago.
Unless they kind of have to switch shit around and give Bryan maybe like a later number.
Well, I know Bryan.
Because I mean, if he has a concussion, I don't know. I mean,
Bryan's not going to compete if his concussion is as serious as it seems.
I mean, I don't know if he can go an hour in there unless they throw him in there like in the late number.
Again,
or unless maybe the Authority does like. I mean, if Bryan is good enough, maybe since Punk and Bryan are like the two top guys on like the Authority's hit list, they can have those two start the Rumble.
Or maybe
they started the 40-man Rumble.
What if Bryan comes out and he gets right to the apron and Authority says, no, you know you're not clear to wrestle.
Yeah.
Like he comes out at like 8 or 9 or something, you know, and then Authority's
I just feel like after Monday, it's kind of like he has to go on and win the Rumble and win the
I totally agree with you, but if he doesn't pass the Impact test, he's not going to be in no Rumble. I'm not expecting him to be on Raw in terms of an in-ring capacity. I'm sure they'll do a segment with him to not lose his momentum. But
I feel like they have to, like, we've been waiting for this since SummerSlam. Like how many times?
I wasn't banking on him to win, though, even before this.
What, the Rumble?
Yeah. He wasn't my pick.
He's been my pick ever since all the bullshit with the title happened.
Considering the bullshit with the title and where he's gone from late November to now, he would have not been my Rumble pick. Would he have been the biggest surprise and you know, of course, but no, I can't.
I just feel like with all the screw job finishes, like I just felt like it was bound for him to like go on to the Rumble and
agree,
win
but
Mania.
that I just wasn't holding my breath on it. You can't put that past him.
Yeah,
you can't put that past him. You know,
I can dream.
You can dream. You can dream. And
well, it is Martin Luther King Day on Monday.
That's
so
right.
I can dream. I have a dream that Daniel Bryan will. They will pull the trigger on Daniel Bryan.
My dream is that we get the classic Vince McMahon Royal Rumble opening where he introduces every Royal Rumble competitor. I mean, it sucks because I like it better when we don't know who comes out in the Rumble.
Yeah.
But presentation-wise, that's my dream. That's my dream.
If it doesn't happen, can we have you do it the following
Absolutely.
week? We'll give you the list of everybody in the Rumble.
Absolutely. And we will play the background music. Yes,
music
not
ready.
the crappy dubbed over one that Mean Gene does now on Classics on Demand. Speaking of Classics on Demand, Network, I found a little interesting footnote. So, just run down all the things that we know is going to be available on the network. Top of your head. No pressure. Just top of your head because this is going to be a funny footnote.
Okay. Current pay-per-views.
Right.
Raw and SmackDown pre-show, post-show,
Right.
Legends House Countdown,
Right.
Monday Night War,
Right. Wars.
what was the other one? The WrestleMania moments,
Right.
past WWE, WCW, ECW pay-per-views,
Right. Current WWE television.
Current WWE television, NXT.
A funny thing that I read.
Live streaming.
Live stream of NXT to go head-to-head with TNA on a Thursday night, which I think is pretty interesting. On launch day, and initially for at least the first month, only 1.5% of the WWE's full video library is available to you. That says something.
Well, I know they have 100,000 hours, and they're only releasing about 1,500.
Right. That's pretty scary, like how much they do have.
Yeah.
And then in theory, that does make sense because you got to figure if nothing else, recent ones, home video titles will not be there.
Okay.
That has to be a given. Like, I don't think whatever they put on Netflix is going to be on the network.
Well, I did see like a screen grab where it showed like the Mick Foley DVD.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I'm
nothing recent because Foley's DVD is already like
about
6
a year
months.
ago.
Is it a year already?
It was last like spring.
Oh, I was gonna say 6 months. I was being more modest, but you know, I'm not expecting any new home releases. I'm expecting a lot of the Attitude stuff, like the Lita one, if you remember that.
Yeah.
They had a little Hardy's one, the Three Faces of Foley, like the little things like that, like Undertaker, This Is My Yard.
Well, those are all like about an hour and a half each.
Yeah, like, you know, so like you only get 1.5% of the library.
We're gonna get It's Our Time, the one about China and Triple H.
I highly doubt that. And I think the internet would have a field day with that. I don't think we're going to get Undertaker, This Is My Yard.
Why?
Because that's the only interview that Taker's ever done. And I just feel like inevitably at some point they have to do a Taker DVD when he retires, and he has to talk. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I mean, they used him in the history of WWE in the Triple H DVD.
Well, he's needed on at least one of those. The Triple H one, I heard he personally asked to be on it. So I mean that those come as no surprise to me, but it's pretty interesting that only.
I mean, he's at that point in his career where like he can.
There's a couple DVDs that he could have been on.
He could break.
He could have been on the Foley DVD, and I know he wasn't on that. Mm-hmm. There's no reason why he shouldn't have been on the Foley DVD.
I mean, I think he's at a point where he can break kayfabe.
He could have been on Shawn Michaels' Heartbreak and Triumph DVD. He wasn't on that.
Well, that was almost like a decade ago.
Even so, he could have been on that. He could have been on Brett's DVD. He should have been on Vince's DVD.
That Vince DVD was.
That was a. You didn't like that?
No.
Start something.
No, it was. No, I liked the DVD. I felt like it was like. I didn't like that there was like a gap from like 85 to like 97.
Yeah, but.
I mean, I guess
the DVD is on Vince McMahon.
The character.
No, the person.
I mean, I was expecting
what
more.
happens to Vince with the exception of the steroid trial?
Yeah,
what happens?
I mean, maybe I wanted more like kind of like in depth, like the Triple H one or the Pony.
He wasn't gonna do that, and you should have known it. They did talk about the steroid
trial.
No,
yeah. In the WWE one.
Seriously, what happens to Vince McMahon?
That's true.
Did you think you were gonna hear about the Warrior holding him up and his side of the story? That actually already came out because the Warrior DVD came out first.
Yeah.
You think he was?
I didn't hate it. I liked it. I have it. So.
I think one of the things that kind of sets Vince apart is like he doesn't really tell what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's a positive. And I think that's a
well. I mean, he has to protect himself.
He has to protect himself, and it's just a matter of
You think he'll ever put out like a bio?
I mean, in theory, we got that already. I don't see why another Vince DVD would come out because
like a bio, like an autobiography, like a book.
I would love to.
Yeah,
but
I think JR is going to work on it. JR should be.
Do you think Vince McMahon is going to do an autograph signing?
No.
Vince McMahon sitting in a chair, doing nothing but signing things for an hour. The busiest man in the world of wrestling.
I don't think he'll do that, but
I think WWE will sell. I think WWE will sell autograph copies for an exuberant amount of money. But him doing an autograph signing, no. I would love if Vince came out with a book, but I don't think he has the time for it.
I mean, maybe when he retires.
You think he's going to retire?
Like in 20 years?
X-Pac said it best. Maybe one day Vince will retire, and then Triple H can take over, because the WWE will be in the best hands. But that's a maybe if he retires.
Think Triple H will retire before Vince does.
Agreed. Vince McMahon will die at his post. Vince McMahon will die at his post. And in theory, let's say, God forbid, it comes a time where he can no longer work anymore, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to ask him. They're going to ask his approval for everything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I would love a Vince book.
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't see why it wouldn't be open. And, there's some stories that I think Vince kind of pulled back on. Like, I think he could have... I thought he told the Warrior story very, very well. But think about all the things that have happened to Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Seriously. There's things that have happened to, in Flair's books and Hogan's books, and those are two very good books. They don't really have the best accounts of them. It's not like Foley, when he came out with his first book, all that stuff in theory was still kind of fresh.
Yeah.
At that time, Foley wasn't 20 years in the business yet.
Well, I was disappointed a bit with Sean's book because I feel like he could have gone into detail on a lot of
I want to tell you something. I wanted to read Sean's book, but I heard it wasn't as detailed as I thought. So I'm glad I got a confirmation from you and not from a peanut gallery.
Especially coming from me.
Right, because you've read more books than I have, more of the wrestling ones. So I mean,
as far as the in-depth ones, I would say maybe Foley, Brett, Jericho.
Flair's pretty raw.
Flair's
pretty fucking raw.
Yeah.
Until the Dynamite Kids book, there wasn't a book that revealing. Because Foley's is very open, but he open in the sense of
But at the same time, Foley wasn't really involved with
anything
drugs
crazy.
Or drama.
Yeah,
parties.
I mean, it was a great story.
He had a lot of in-ring story and shit that he's gone through, but he wasn't a party. He didn't have party stories like Brett and Flair and
I know Brett. One of the best stories in Brett's book is when the LOD hit Vince with the Doomsday device at the bar.
I know, but he mentioned that in his Hall of Fame speech, right?
Did he?
I remember him. I think he did.
Yeah, on the uncut. Yeah, I have that in the back. I haven't seen that speech in years.
Because
I haven't seen that speech in years. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, when we come back, we're going to talk about WWE this past Monday in a fantastic video package, revealing what had been rumored for a solid month now. Well, longer than that, but in terms of like rumored, a solid month. The Ultimate Warrior, the first inductee into the 2014 class.
Rumored match going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Hall of Fame period. And as you heard in our opening, the unfortunate passing of Mae Young. We're gonna share some Mae Young memories. So when we come back, Hall of Fame talk, and then the normal spiel. We'll be back. Hey guys, this is Cheyenne for the For Life Podcast. When you listen to your podcast, you listen to it for life. We support indie wrestling. The stars of tomorrow are performing for you today on the independent professional wrestling circuit. So go to your local gymnasium, your local recreational center, your barn, your parking garage, anywhere. Support independent professional wrestling. The stars of today are performing for you right now. Support independent wrestling.
Folks, we're back. This week, it was announced that Ultimate Warrior was going into the Hall of Fame. I know my co-host will be there.
I will be there. I will be in the front row.
Fellow host.
I will be in the. I'll be in the front row.
Really? How much did those tickets cost?
Oh, $40.
Nice.
Nice. Good put over there. Yeah, I think it's great. Regardless of, I think. People's problems with the Warrior, and I know I had problems with him too. It's not necessarily that he's not deserving of the Hall of Fame, because he without question is.
Yeah.
He comes from he's a one-time Intercontinental Champion and a one-time WWE Champion. This was at an era where just being a champion was amazing.
Well, yeah, at that time, the belts weren't switching every month, every week.
And he had the WWE title for a year.
Yeah.
For almost a full calendar year.
Yeah, from Mania to the Rumble.
From Mania to the Rumble. And he's had tremendous feuds with Hall of Famers and legends. The feud that put him on the map, as far as I'm concerned, Rick Rude, hands down. Classic match at SummerSlam, including where Rick Rude, as far as I'm concerned, invented what's called the Gonzo Bomb, which is the Pile Driver Power Bomb.
Yeah. Also, his feud with Macho Man was great.
Macho was the best match he's ever had.
Oh, yeah, that match at WrestleMania.
Best match he ever had was WrestleMania.
Oh, shit, we're getting feedback.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, now that we fixed our technical difficulties.
It was feedback from the fans. We were being flooded through our social media. Don't lie to these people.
Speaking of which, check out forlifepodcast.com. It's up and running.
Yes.
Put it up this morning, so
That's
check it out. All right.
And soon, I'm going to be putting blogs up there, and we all know me and a keyboard.
All right.
I'm not a keyboard thug, but I'm a keyboard honest.
I'm going to plug this website more than the app and the
network.
network.
The app and the network. We're going to do commercials for the website. And
teaching everybody how to go on.
Teaching how to use. Yep. www.ivlifepodcast.com. Press enter. From there, your preferred web browser, preferably Safari or Google Chrome, will load up said web page, and you are free to browse the interface as you so desire.
All right. So the Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior, classic. I thought the WrestleMania 7 match is better than the WrestleMania 6.
Oh, that a million times better.
His matches with Ted DiBiase were great. He had a really good match with Haku on a Saturday Night's Main Event, which was his first televised title defense.
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter feud, fantastic. Could have gone longer, but considering what happened after, made sense.
Yeah.
Got two better feuds out of it. I don't remember, other than Slaughter, actual feuds with him as the champion. I don't remember any.
Yeah, I don't either.
And then on top of that,
I think, year, it's SummerSlam he fought, Rude?
in the cage,
For the
which was a
yeah.
fantastic match.
Yeah.
Also,
Survivor Series.
he was in
probably-
the tag
sorry,
match with
yeah.
Hogan and Tito Santana. But at that time, he was the main guy, and they were switching out Hogan feuds to build. Hogan was teaming with like Tugboat to take on a couple
Like
people.
Earthquake
Earthquake, I
and
think
Dino
it was.
Bravo.
Yeah, Dino Bravo. So Hogan was still at the helm
Yeah.
at that time. But fantastic worker. I just think like his comments about the wrestling business, kind of like what Bruno Sammartino said from time to time. We're just like, really, like this is where you came from. Like you can't really bash it and knock
Yeah.
it. Like I do get a little upset with legends and Hall of Famers that don't watch the current product because I just feel like how can you not? That's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you not everybody in this business has been, but you have to be a fan. I just feel like how can you? I don't know. That's just me, but I'm super excited.
Who do you
I'm
think?
super
Who do you think
happy.
will induct him? I mean, it's tough because like two of his bigger feuds, Rude
Are
and
no longer
Macho,
here.
yeah,
To be honest with you,
and him and Hogan aren't on the best of terms.
apparently they are. Hogan did a report with TMZ saying that the war with him and Warrior is over and that he's looking forward to his Hall of Fame induction. I mean,
Is this like
I don't
the
see
time
it-
he said he was almost a part of Metallica? But
yeah, I don't see Hogan being the one to induct him, to be honest with you.
who else is? I mean, that's his only like high profile.
To be honest with you,
rival.
it should have been Rick Rude.
Yeah,
It should have been Rick Rude. I wouldn't even have said Randy Savage just for the simple fact that
He
that
should
was
be
their
doing it.
only. That was just too short.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably his best match.
Maybe if terms were different, maybe Sting.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was
If
gonna
that
be my
is that
suggestion.
it is that time of year again. The Sting rumors are coming up. I saw
Well,
I saw three
from
things.
what I heard, this Thursday. I mean, the
yeah, we're gonna
storyline.
talk about that.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Magnus will defeat Sting, and his contract is up.
Oh, the results are out already for that.
Yeah, it was already taped on Thursday. They taped last weekend. This coming week.
So Sting's losing.
Sting's losing.
So we'd have to wait for this week's-
They rip up his contract and kind of throw it at Sting, and kind of like his departure. I don't know if he'll come back. I don't know storyline, but as
Well,
far
Sting's contract ends, and
storyline
this
wise,
time of year is when his contract is over,
storyline wise, he won't be with the company.
unless the secret investor, which we'll get into much later,
Yeah.
brings him back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not Jeff Jarrett.
That would be the biggest swerve.
That would be the swerve of the year. WWE would have to really break their fucking back to top that.
Yeah,
To be honest with you, just saying.
that would. I mean,
Wow,
that would be. I mean, considering
Wow.
he hasn't officially announced that he's starting a new company yet.
I don't think that's what it is.
That would be.
I don't think that's what it is.
I mean,
Unless they do, Jarrett is starting a new company, and they do it on like. Do you see how that's an
Yeah,
angle?
yeah.
Like an invasion.
yeah,
That would be cool for them.
and like Richards and Edwards are the guys. I don't.
Not at the forefront, but they're there.
I mean, this is too good of an idea for
Yeah,
for it to actually
exactly.
happen.
This has to come from fans, to be honest with you. I can't picture anybody inducting him. Is that wrong? Like anybody.
Yeah,
People say Vince McMahon. I'm like, are you fucking high? I don't see that.
nah. I mean, there was never really
Somebody was being funny on my WC, like Triple H. I was like, no. I was like, no.
Ryback. He said on Twitter that he was asked. I mean, I know that's his new Twitter
Can we
gimmick.
talk about Ryback at the end?
Fine.
That's a big thing I'm going to talk.
I subscribe to his tweets just so they can come to my phone before he deletes them.
Yeah. What is it? Eat,
No, it was
sleep,
eat,
tweet, delete.
Eat,
sleep, tweet,
eat, tweet, delete,
repeat. Amazing. And that should be a T-shirt. And I was like, Ryback, I give it to him. He capitalized.
Yeah.
Like he did get us back. Well, the IWC. No, he did get the fans back. So
Like I saw a main event, he kind of just he came out after the Curtis Axel
Yeah.
match, just walked around the ring and left.
yeah, he did this is his new thing. He jogs around the ring. And that's gonna be part of his gimmick now. Again,
I mean,
don't,
it's something different from what he's been doing the last year since.
What, losing?
Yeah.
I don't see anybody in particular inducting Warrior. When that gets announced, it's going to be pretty interesting. I read this morning, no Mid-South influence.
Yeah, I read that too
So,
this morning.
Bill Watts is already in. The biggest,
Freebirds.
The biggest guys missing from Mid-South are the Freebirds,
Jake.
Jake,
Do you see
Terry
Jake?
Taylor, Dr. Death, the One Man Gang / Akeem, who should be inducted as both people, so he should get 2 rings.
Do you see Jake going in this year?
I'm going to say no.
Macho.
No.
So who else do you see being inducted?
With no
Like,
Mid-South influence.
people wise.
With no Mid-South influence, I'm actually going to say no to the Freebirds. And to be honest with you, this should be it. I mean, honestly, they should have been inducted in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They should have been inducted either in Texas or Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't. I see... Well, I don't see any matches. We'll get to that after. I see Warrior,
Obviously.
Paul Bearer. It's going to be two people in the Hall of Fame. Because I don't see them inducting Savage. How can you... I mean, in theory, you know, his brother should be there.
Okay.
You know, his mom
And
should be
Jake,
there.
maybe they want to get another. Maybe they want another sober year out of Jake before they induct him.
I don't think it has anything to do with Jake and his sobriety. I think it has to do with ticket sales.
I mean, you don't see Jake and Warrior co-headlining.
Here's the problem: Jake, Savage, and Warrior.
Okay, all three might
Those
be
three
too much.
guys are all guys that should be inducted by themselves.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with Savage. Savage could go in this year, but Savage is posthumous.
Yeah, so
he's
that,
no longer
like,
with
would
us.
those sell
so
tickets?
in theory, he's not a draw.
Yeah.
I understand that.
No, that I understand as well.
Do I think they're considering him at all? Probably not. But those are the top two that need to go in.
Yeah.
No,
just tough,
excuse me.
and-
When I say top two, I mean Jake and Savage.
Yeah.
Warrior was top 5.
And Rude is also in that top 5.
Absolutely, and the fifth one would have to be Freebirds.
Yeah.
Freebirds. Anybody else that's missing after that is honestly.
I mean, if the Von Erichs are already in, the Freebirds should
there's
be.
no reason.
Yeah.
You know, like Honky Tonk.
Honky Tonk? You see?
I'm gonna say Honky Tonk, man. He just signed a Legends deal.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say Honky Tonk. I'm gonna say Warrior. Well, Warriors obviously. Honky Tonk, Paul Bearer. What mid carders are not in?
Like you said, Honky Tonk.
Lenny Poffo should go in the Hall of Fame if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
The Genius, yeah.
Trying to think of who else. Like
Bruce
Hillbilly Jim.
Bruce Beefcake.
Hillbilly?
He's not in.
No.
He should go in. Hillbilly Jim should definitely go in.
Yeah.
Howard Finkel is in, for Christ's sake.
Bun-
Not saying he doesn't deserve, but
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that means Hillbilly Jim should definitely be in.
Bundy.
Bundy, I don't see him going in this year, but he's
Yeah.
deserving.
As far as like people that have passed, maybe like Bam Bam, Rude,
Oh, Bam Bam, Rude, Boss Man.
Earthquake.
Remember, 2 of the 3 Freebirds are not with us.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 original Freebirds are not with us.
Mhm.
I don't.
I mean, I'm surprised because Hayes is with the company. So maybe with Hayes being with the company, they're probably like, okay, we can throw you any year that we're missing somebody we need.
Speaking of
somebody.
Mid-South, Terry Taylor should go in.
Mhm.
Terry Taylor, terrific Terry Taylor. You know, the Red Rooster. You know, there's no reason why he shouldn't go in.
Brooklyn
Obviously,
Brawler.
You know, I just want to say this just for the
You
fans.
think the Brawler?
Oh yeah, but that's a New York induction. I wanted him for last year.
Yeah.
He should have been for last year at the Garden.
I mean, they could have thrown. I mean, they could have. I mean, I don't think
They could have thrown him in.
They didn't. Maybe they didn't know that they were going to get Texas in a few years to do Booker in Texas. Because I was kind of surprised that they threw.
Harlem
Booker
Heat
in.
should have gone in as a tag team. They could have. Let me say could have gone in as a tag team because Stevie Ray obviously for X amount of reasons wasn't as prosperous as Booker T later on. People will say, "Oh, you know, the Clique," and I'm like, I don't think the Clique should go in yet.
No, not as a
As a group.
No.
The 2 guys that need to go in before anybody else
Hall and
is
Nash.
Nash and Hall.
Yeah.
And in theory,
And I think they can go in individually.
yeah, I don't know what's with.
I mean,
the
kind
group
of- I
thing.
mean-
I don't know what's with the group.
Kind of. I mean, that's why I was kind of disappointed. Like when they did that with the Funks and the Briscoes, like they each had individual
Right,
careers
like,
that they
Terry
could have
Funk
gone in.
Had his own successful career.
Yeah.
So did Dory. You know, Dory.
And it's like
is
they were cut down to like, okay, you guys get a little speech as a team.
Right.
The same thing with the Briscoe brothers. They each had great individual careers.
Jack Briscoe's one of the top 5 greatest NWA
Yeah.
champions ever. Ever. Jerry Briscoe, totally underrated wrestler, should have gone in by himself.
Same thing. Dory Funk had a great career.
The
And Terry.
Blackjacks made sense because they were a tag
Yo,
team.
they were a team. Yeah.
The only group induction that has made sense to me is the 4 Horsemen.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I was like, while they can go in individually, you because they were all tons of accolades. Makes total sense they went in twice. Makes total, and then it's like, well, how are you going to induct them and then not induct Flair because he has a ring already?
Yeah.
No, they could have gone in twice.
Well, I feel like it's like I know there's been rumors of like DX, but like
I hope not.
I think.
How do you
I
have
don't think-
DX when
I don't
Triple
think-
H
Triple
and
H is
Shawn
still active.
Michaels?
Triple H is still active, so I don't see him going in. I don't see him going in with a group before he goes in.
Oh,
individual.
hell no. Hell no.
There's no way he's doing a group induction before he has his own individual induction.
And we don't mean that in the sense of like he won't allow it because we don't believe Triple H is a jerk like the rest of you. We just believe that that's what's right.
Well, he deserves.
He
his own
deserves it.
Same thing with
Hell
that's
yeah.
that's like throwing Shawn in with the fucking Rockers or something before he goes in on his own.
No.
I mean, it's an example. I mean Hall and Nash, they should get their own individual ones. I mean, if they're gonna do DX, then throw like X-Pac and the Outlaws, or
I got a question for you. So the first inductee got announced today, right?
the next one probably won't be announced till like March,
Okay.
or end of February.
So if they sign Sting,
Then, fuck, I mean, either he inducts Warrior. I mean, I don't see them bringing him in just to induct the Warrior.
I mean, if they induct him, in theory, let's say they bring him in this year, they induct him and he wrestles, he'd be the second person in history to be an active wrestler that was a Hall of Famer. Because in theory, when Flair got inducted, he was still active.
He
in theory,
wrestled
he was still
right.
on the roster.
Yeah.
Because
I
you
don't
got to
know.
figure they would do that with Sting. I wouldn't put it past them to induct him and then have him work.
Do like a match with Taker.
Or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see him wrestle Taker. I'm over that match. I'm not 10 anymore.
I mean, then who would he wrestle?
I don't know. Not Taker. I'm a grown ass man. I don't want to see that anymore. I feel like that ship has sailed.
Yeah. So then who would Sting face?
I am a huge Sting fan, but
Oh, so
I saw an interview with former WCW announcer Scott Hudson.
Okay.
And he was like, when you look back at it, Sting was never a great worker.
Okay.
He had to have somebody else in there with him. Some of Sting's best work during that NWO angle with Hogan, he never wrestled. And I was like, holy shit, he's right.
Well, yeah, because that match with Hogan sucked.
Think about it. How
The
Green
the build up for the match with Hogan was amazing.
It's no secret. Ric Flair was the guy to make you a star.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who did he do that with first? With Sting.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I just feel like,
No, I agree. He was a great character. I don't think I ever considered him like the best worker.
yeah. I mean, the best time to have done that would have been during the Invasion angle, and I didn't want to see it then when my friends would talk about it because
Yeah.
I was like, well, the Undertaker
Is the badass.
was the biker.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to see it back then. So, like, now I think Taker's a lot better of a worker than
I think
he
the
gets
last chance that they had to do it successfully was that year,
because Sting was still working really good for his age.
and that was
then.
I think it was for the first time
Yeah.
for 2011 when they did
the first Triple H.
vignettes with Johnny Cash
And Sting has said that was going to be me.
Yeah, he said that, and he was like, and I just remember seeing that. I was like, oh my god, it's this thing. Like
Yeah.
it was, all you saw was like the black boots.
And he said
the
it's like we came real close.
he should have done it then. I mean, honestly, what the hell has he done in TNA to make up?
Let me tell you though, that is he's Mr. Bound for Glory over there though. Like he delivered every year. I remember he had a great match with
I mean, but since 2011, I mean, prior to 2011, yeah, he had great matches with like Joe, Angle,
well, he
Styles.
wasn't 50 yet.
Huh?
He wasn't 50 yet.
Yeah. I mean, he's feuding now with fucking Derek Bateman,
Oh,
Ethan
EC3.
Carter the third. Yeah.
Yeah. EC3PO, whatever his fucking name is. I mean, I don't. The Hall of Fame is really in the air because the people that we thought were going to go in this year are likely not going to go in. So I actually have no comment on it. I'm excited to go.
Yeah.
But I'm just going as part of the week's festivities.
Oh, I mean, last year, I mean, when Foley was announced, I was excited.
Yeah.
And I guess like the Bruno one caught everybody by surprise, and I think, I felt bad for Foley because he was originally going to headline, and it kind of bumped. He opened the show. I mean, he had a great speech. I think they all did pretty good. But
Yeah, he had a great. I thought the whole thing with Jericho and Punk made
That
for
was
his speech
awesome.
was cool.
Backlund was
Great.
yeah.
Backlund was great, and I love that I have his thing unedited. How about he's like, please sign Cole Cabana. He said something like that, right?
No,
What was that he said?
it was a guy that had a similar name to Cabana.
But he said Cole Cabana's name on the stage.
No, he was promoting some like amateur some guy that he was.
Oh
working
yeah,
with.
and then he started talking about how he works out with the UFC
he had a
guys and
similar
stuff.
he had a similar name to Colt Cabana.
Yeah, and then the crowd.
Yeah.
But I know Backlund and Cabana are pretty cool.
I just remember like at first like the crowd was like booing him because that's when he was doing like I don't know. I was kind of upset that like the audience was being dicks.
Yeah, the audience were really out of pocket that night.
They really-
I had a big problem with
Yeah.
that because a lot of my friends were telling me, a lot of people
It
online were
was-
complaining about it, and even
There were
people that
people,
were
like,
within
blurting-
WWE.
There were people blurting out shit throughout speeches. It was really annoying and really disrespectful. I remember when Trish did her speech.
They booed the crap out of her husband.
Yeah, until she announced she was pregnant, and then they all cheered him.
Yeah.
I mean, Trish laughed about it, but I'm sure like
The whole deal.
I mean, Donald Trump, like, I guess he was expecting to get booed, and he went along with it, and I thought he did a great job.
Same thing with Drew Carey. Drew Carey was expecting the worst, which he got, but he went with it just fine.
Yeah, but he didn't deserve to go in. Don't get me started.
No, I'm not knocking that.
Well,
but again,
I mean, when Drew Carey went in, I put up a blog of the celebrities I thought deserved to go in.
You
and
did?
Since then, I've been 2 for 2, because Tyson and Donald Trump were on my list.
uh-huh.
So at least I'm happy that since then they've been inducting celebrities that deserve to go in.
Just real quick, as we're talking Hall of Fame, and before we just do a little thing for Mae Young, so the rumors are out there that they're going to do the WrestleMania 1 main event. Your thoughts on that?
Because then that's going to start, and then you're going to have to start inducting other matches.
And, like, how many rings do you get?
And it's
Like, how many times can Hulk Hogan be inducted then?
Out of all those guys, the only person that doesn't have a ring is Mr. T, so why not just induct them into the celebrity wing and have Hogan induct them? Like I feel like, okay, no disrespect to Mr. Wonderful. I don't think he's, like, nobody's going to, like, the current fans aren't going to know who he is. Bob Orton, people only know him as...
In theory, how many rings would Taker get? How many rings would Hulk Hogan get?
Okay.
How many rings would Shawn Michaels get if you induct matches?
So then what match... Like, let's go through all these history-making matches, and you got what? Hogan and Andre. Warrior Hogan.
Savage DiBiase.
Yeah.
Flair Michaels. Michaels Vince. Michaels Brett.
Michaels Razor.
Austin. Michaels Razor.
Michaels
Brett
Taker.
Yoko. Brett Owen.
Yeah.
And then from current, Cena Batista. Cena Rock 1 will go in.
I feel like once you put one in, then you're going to have to do, like, a shitload. I just put Mr. T in as the celebrity wing.
I think the WWE is starting to see their Hall of Fame kind of like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, you can get inducted more than once. Like, for example, in the whole Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, top of my head, Ron Wood, who's the guitarist for both the Rolling Stones and for the Small Faces, he's inducted twice.
I mean, if you want to, like, maybe have everybody...
So, in theory, does that mean Evolution and DX or Triple H? You know what I'm trying to get here?
Yeah.
Like, so I was like, I don't see it like that in wrestling.
I mean, I don't mind the groups or, like, as far as, like, Flair going in twice.
Come on, seriously, there's only 3 groups that should go in the Hall of Fame. And one of them's already in. There's only 3 groups that should go in.
Yeah.
It's Horsemen, they're in. DX, NWO, that's it.
That's it.
And you know something? I'm more than sure with Hogan back in the picture, we're going to see the NWO as a group. Which is stupid.
But then, like, would it be, like, everybody that was ever with the NWO? Or just, like,
it'll be the first. It should be the first.
Hogan, Hall, and Nash.
It should be the first 3.
Okay.
Because in theory, when they were strong at, like, 5 or so, when they were strong at 6, hey, guess what? That means X-Pac, and that means Big Show gets a ring.
Yeah, and DiBiase.
And DiBiase, look at that. If the NWO goes in as a group, it has to be the 3 of them.
Yeah.
I would rather they go... You see, it's tough.
And then if they induct DX, would it be what? Shawn, Hunter, Outlaws, X-Pac, and then, like, we ignore Chyna and Rude? And Tyson? And Tori?
Ooh, can't ignore Tori. Steph?
Yeah. Hornswoggle?
Hornswoggle, the DX mascot. Hornswoggle. Yep. Hornswoggle, the DX mascot. I mean,
as far as the match, I don't. I say just induct Mr. T if you want to have all the guys maybe come out, and maybe they.
A lot of those guys don't have nice things to say about him. Hogan really, one of the few things that Hogan gets really raw about is Mr.
T. Yeah.
Like he's like T came about 30 minutes before the main event, showed up with his entourage.
Same thing with Piper.
Oh well, we know how Piper feels about T. Yeah. Piper's mellowed out, and he's like, yeah, I'd induct him, whatever. They haven't seen each other since WrestleMania 2 or 3.
Wow.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just think that, and I think TNA, when Piper was in TNA for a bit,
the business was in a different place 30 years ago than it is now. Like, at that time, I know Piper's thing was he wanted to protect the business.
Oh, yeah. Kayfabe was everything.
Yeah, so it's like he didn't want to, like, bump for T or lose to T. Like, I understand.
I totally get that.
The mentality was different back then.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
It's not like now when a celebrity's in the ring, you're bumping for him.
Yeah.
A.K.A. Snooki. Which is better than... I would rather bump from Snooki before I hide from my tag partner. Yes, I made a direct Come on, John Morrison.
Oh, okay.
The fuck out of here, because he took your chick's spot that she. Like, out of all the divas that deserved a spot that year, I can't say that his girl was one of them.
Nah.
So you want to just shun yourself from Trish Stratus?
I'm trying to think who was at in the company at the time. Well, maybe like Beth and Natty?
Yeah. Well, I think they were doing Divas of Destruction at that time, so it should have been them.
Or if you would have had like Beth and Natty against Lee Cole.
That would have been cool. Or even like, I mean, I don't know why we didn't get Trish and Beth Phoenix for WrestleMania 25. I don't get that. I don't know why we didn't get that.
Oh, you had the Diva Battle Royal with the Kid Rock concert.
Yeah, with the Kid Rock concert. That's right. Well, we had a P. Diddy concert last year.
But that wasn't as long as the Kid Rock did like 10 fucking songs.
No, but whenever an artist comes out and does a hit medley, it looks long on television. I know it wasn't as long as the Kid Rock thing.
I mean, I know like for Diddy, like he did like a verse. I mean, most of his old school hits were with like Biggie and Mace, so
Right.
like he only did his verses in those songs.
Yeah, I was like, all these songs he
Like
produced.
he did his verse for Victory. He did his verse for More Money, More Problems. He did his verse for All About the Benjamins, and then he did the entire I'm Coming Home because that was one of the main.
He is the richest cameo artist in the world. He like his own songs. He only has what 3?
Yeah, but
They're all hits.
all of his, but they're all with somebody else. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Coming Home, so I was like, okay, we got to sit through this song.
Oh, I hate that song.
I enjoyed like the 2 minutes he did.
You know
in the
who
beginning
else was
with
up
his
there
old
for too
school
long?
hits.
Machine Gun Kelly was up there for too long, and so was Flo fucking Rida.
Yeah,
That was just
I mean,
that was out of, like unless you sing a wrestler's theme song, that made no fucking sense to me.
I like Flo Rida songs when I'm out at the club and shit, but like not for Mania and like.
I don't.
I mean, if I'm drunk and I'm dancing.
No. I don't hear Flo Rida when I'm at the club. I want to hear Justin Bieber. I want to hear One Direction. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear Flo Rida. What is that about?
Florida.
It's not even. Just because Mae Young.
Mae Young.
Mae Young. That was tough because she was
Especially like all the rumors going around. Like, I know I posted on the Instagram the week before, like rest in peace, and
Yeah, and then she didn't die till the following week. I felt terrible
Yeah.
about that too. But she was hanging in there,
she's tough.
I think a lot of people just didn't understand, and rightfully so, because by the time she came back into WWE television, she wasn't an active competitor, really. I just feel like a lot of current fans didn't really know Mae Young's contributions to the business.
Well, yeah.
But she was an amazing competitor. She was one of the first female competitors to be on television. I
Yeah.
think she was the first to be on television. She was the first women's champion in all of wrestling, like wrestling period.
Like before Moolah.
Yeah, she was the first one. Moolah's the longest reigning.
Yeah.
But she was the first women's wrestling champion. She trained Moolah.
Wow.
May beats Moolah by like 10, 15
Well, I guess
years.
Moolah always gets the recognition because she had the long
She
reign.
had the longest reign. What was she champion? 7 years? Something
25.
Like that. 7 or 8. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Who was champion for 7 years straight? Somebody.
That was probably like Backlund.
Somebody
or-
has a... No,
or-
Backlund's 4.
Bruno?
Somebody has like... Yeah, Bruno's 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moolah was like for
25.
25 years.
That's
and
like
then
AJ's
Wendy
whole
Richter,
life.
Wendy Richter was the one that beat her.
Yeah.
Wendy Richter was the one that beat her, and then Moolah retired and brought in Leilani Kai, and then Wendy Richter got it back at WrestleMania.
So
1.
Moolah had it just about AJ's entire life.
Yeah. Yeah. And AJ, the longest
I
reigning
mean, Divas champion.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of dwindled down what she's been doing, but it is impressive.
And there aren't as
nonetheless.
many divas as there were 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, when I heard the number, I was like, whoa, really? That's it?
Yeah.
And then, when you shield the same ones. But yeah, just May, tremendous wrestler, competitor, easily top 5, one of the toughest people ever in wrestling.
I mean, for
All the best to our family, man.
I mean, most men competitors like in their 20s or
Yeah.
30s would not take a power bomb off the stage through a table.
Yeah.
And for an 80-year-old woman to take it, and for her to, I mean, I've heard Bubba and Devon tell the story where she's like, "No, just go
Just
all,
fucking do it."
Do it, yeah." Like,
And I think it was Bubba on Sam Roberts or something like that. I saw he talked about how the week before that he body slammed her, but she was like really, really gentle. And May came backstage, stormed through the door, grabbed Bubba by the wrist with the strongest grab he ever felt in his life. He was like, "Next time you slam me like I'm one of the boys, you understand me?"
Yeah.
And Bubba was like, "Yes, ma'am, you got it." And then did you hear the part where when she got powerbound through the table, she farted on him? And she was like, "She farted." He was like, "Yep, I felt it ripple to my nuts." She farted all over me. And then when she did, that was me.
Right.
When she did the Bronco Buster the Bischoff, she had sardines in her
Yeah.
underwear. Yeah. So
I remember, I think it was one of the first old school Raws.
Oh yeah, the first one.
When she came
We
out
were
with the
talking about this
Bellas,
is Week Through Text.
and I looked at it just because I remember watching it live, and
Dying laughing.
when with Lay Cool, she's like, I want to fight you two little sluts
Yeah.
and
Come on,
get
you
these
little
little bitches.
Yep, it was amazing.
It's like nobody told her that it was PG.
Who cares? And we're gonna. One of the things that I enjoyed, and I felt really bad about when they did the birthday cake for May, and then Punk came out at last year's.
Yeah.
I felt really bad about that. That didn't need to be done. I mean, the guy who should have done it did it, and it was great for him and his character what he was doing.
Yeah.
But they didn't have to ruin Mae Young's birthday cake.
She probably said.
She was probably all about it.
Yeah.
She was probably all about
And
it.
I mean, everybody remembers her giving birth to the hand. with
Amazing.
Mark
her
Henry.
hand's almost my age.
Huh?
Her hand is. I'm not gonna say my age on the television, on the radio rather. But her hand, I think, just graduated college too. So
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, he made an appearance at one of the last
At,
old school.
Raw 1000.
Raw
so
one- yeah.
I can only imagine the grief that he's going through.
I
We're
mean,
such
this is the
jerks.
world's strongest hand.
We're such jerks. I think he was also the hand that guest starred on the Raw that Johnny Knoxville was on. No, okay, I'm done. That's too much. But yeah, Godspeed Mae Young, tremendous competitor.
I think the hand should have had its hand at least.
Tremendous competitor to the business. I was there when that hand gave birth. That was at the Garden.
Really?
I was there that night.
Nice.
That was the night after No Way Out, I think.
Uh huh.
I was there that night, and my parents just didn't get it. But I was dying laughing. It was like, "Yeah, birthday, and so, yeah." We're gonna take a break.
All right.
And when I come back, I actually have a statement.
Okay.
I have a statement when I come back.
ForLifePodcast.com.
Thanks, Zach.
All right, folks, we're back. ForLifePodcast.com. Check it out.
Check it out.
So Cheyenne has a statement he would
That's
like to
right.
make.
Earlier this week, Bully Ray of TNA Wrestling or Impact Wrestling, whatever they're called this week,
Okay.
made an interview criticizing, internet fans and them never being happy with.
Us?
No, not about us. We're free. We're free. But the internet wrestling fans, those guys, the larger group of fans, never being happy with TNA, criticizing TNA about Dixie Carter being slammed and every idea that TNA having bad. And he just went to bat for his company.
Okay.
Which a lot of TNA guys do. Even the ones that are kind of miserable and even some that have been released recently
Yeah.
have said great things about TNA.
Okay.
I just need to say this.
All right.
The talent at TNA is not bad.
Oh no, the talent's great down there.
Top to bottom, there's very few, pieces of coal that can be squeezed into a diamond. There's very few pieces that can be squeezed into a diamond. And they do have a couple of rocks.
Okay.
Raw Wrestling Company doesn't. There's some people in WWE that I'm sure the general consensus would probably say doesn't need to be there.
Definitely.
Especially considering the fact that there's people who say John Cena doesn't need to be there.
They're
which
retarded.
they're also retarded about. This is the point that I have that I just need to make as a fan. My problem's not with the talent of TNA.
No, it's with the
It is with the creative.
Creative, yeah. That's been the problem
and he
for the
defended,
last...
he defended creative as well.
Wasn't he
But,
part of creative, or...?
There was a time him and Devon were there at the same
Yeah.
time. My problem isn't with creative. I mean, isn't with the talent. It's with creative.
Mm-hmm.
And he was defending some of their ideas and stuff like that. Well, not all of the ideas have been a plus.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the pay-per-views have been a plus. Yes, I love the fact that they give away free pay-per-views on free television. I
Okay.
think that's great. Even if it's a cost-cutting measure,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great. Some of their shows, top to bottom, are in fact great.
Yeah.
However, one of the things that's killing them, and due to budgetary costs, I do get why, the whole TV taping thing,
Uh-huh.
that's a big thing to them. They could easily get their viewers up by 500,000, if you ask me, if they did live television.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to stay in Orlando, I don't see why they cannot do that, to be honest with you.
I mean, they were doing, like...
They did it live when Hogan first got there.
And for a while, they were doing...
On the
like-
Mondays and the
No,
Thursdays.
Well, they were doing, like... Prior to them going back to Orlando, when they went on the road last year, they would film one episode live, and then
Right, and one
afterwards would
taped.
be taped.
One
So the
taped.
first episode would always be live, or like when they would do like the Destination X and
Right.
Hard
You know,
Justice
it's
and
just
shit like
it's
that.
more of an issue with creative.
Yeah.
And I just kind of felt bad because I honestly thought he was speaking to me because I bash TNA.
I
do.
mean, I do too, but
and that's just because I'm disappointed.
but
as
at the
fuck in
same
it.
time, I think we bash it because we don't want to see it go out of business, and we want to see it do good. We
Right.
want to see them do well, and like I've been a fan of TNA since day one.
Right.
And I want to see all those
Since
guys.
the Asylum, I was with him
Definitely, yeah. The first.
when a lot of those guys were not there.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to see them succeed. I've been a fan of. I grew up the last almost decade and a half watching
With
these
them.
guys. Yeah, like AJ,
You grew up with
Daniels,
them.
Joe, Kazarian, Sabin. I know Austin Aries, Alex Shelley.
I saw all those guys
Sanjay
tryouts
Dutt,
matches in WCW and
Jay
WWE.
Lethal. Yeah. So
I
it's
saw
like
all their tryout matches.
I know like people say, oh, these guys won't draw in the WWE. Regardless, I've been a fan of these guys
Right.
for many years. Even Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards are down there now. I've been following them for a couple of years now, and they're all great in the ring. Okay, maybe they're not all going to main event WrestleMania, but I'm a fan of a lot of these guys.
Right.
So
I just need to put out because I felt like he was speaking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Another wrestler, I can't remember his name, no offense, did an interview, defending Dixie Carter. Do I feel like she is the scapegoat for all of TNA's problems in terms of the internet wrestling community? Yes, 110%. percent However, whenever I bash Dixie Carter, it's because of something she said or did or an idea that is put out there to the public. For example, last week I went off on Dixie Carter and it was brought up to my attention, and that was because as a fan, I was offended with that tweet. Because like out with the old and with the new.
rightfully so.
And I just felt like that was out of pocket. That was out of pocket. I'm not going to say any of the other things that are on the internet right now because they may or may not be true.
Yeah.
They may or may not be true. And the internet wrestling fan does, in fact, I'm not saying me or Bosch does, but as a whole, as a general, does believe too much of what the internet will put out there.
Yeah.
The problem is that a lot of times more than ever, it comes to fruition one way or another. So I just need to put that out there because, again, it's not the talent. It's not the talent.
No, it's creative. I mean,
It's creative.
I've been saying that for years now, since I can remember.
Right. So I just kind of need to say that because I felt like literally that interview was speaking directly towards me.
Yeah.
So I just need to put that out there, and it's again, it's not the talent, it is creative, and I can't sit here and tell you that for the last year, TNA's been hitting at the plate.
I mean, there's some weeks where they'll do well. There's some where they won't. I mean, maybe the in ring does make up for it because they do have talented guys when they're given a chance to go out there and show what they can do.
Right. And I think also, with the ratings, I think we as wrestling fans are also too critical with ratings. Let me tell you something. Television has changed too much in 10 years.
Yeah.
There's so many more options on a daily basis on television than there was 10 years ago.
And there's also TV. You can go.
Exactly.
You can go on YouTube and check you don't
Right.
want to sit through 2-3 hours
And then on
of
top of
wrestling.
that, there's
Even-
live streams.
Same thing for Raw. Like
I know people who watch Raw on their phone and their laptops religiously through live streams. Those measures cannot be captured through the Nielsen ratings.
Yeah.
Okay? That's number one. Ratings now are by second. You can tell how many people tuned in at 8:15 and 1 second and how many people tune out at 8:15 and 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Commercials, flipping, whatever show they're watching, whatever's going on a Monday night, stuff like that. Also remember, wrestling is 3 hours now. Raw does fantastic in the first hour. They do decent in the second hour, and by hour 3, there's tons of different reasons for why the ratings tend to plunge sometimes. Ratings are
I
different.
mean,
it's a
most of the
3 hour
time-
commitment to wrestling.
Yeah, most of the time I'll have Raw playing, and I'll be doing my own thing. And if something catches my attention, I'll watch it. But other than that,
Oh, no, I'm not like that. When I do get to, because now it's a fucking luxury, when I do get to see Raw,
Yeah.
well, I've always been like this, and that's out there for my friends, and you know this. When I'm watching wrestling, that's it.
Yeah.
Especially the live shows, for the Raws, the pay-per-views. I don't channel surf.
I have it on like if it's.
Oh,
like
no,
a
I'm not
match-
doing anything else while it's on.
I mean, I'm usually like tweeting and getting you guys to listen to our show.
I'm not doing anything else
Hashtagging.
while it's on. I'm watching wrestling. I'd be doing the same thing if I was actually watching Raw for the last 6 weeks.
I mean, if you're listening, you probably saw this on Twitter and opened it up and hey, what's this? Okay, I'll listen. So right now I'm tweeting.
Yeah.
But I mean, also like I got a lot going on and like.
You have lives. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, we all do.
I mean, but it's also easy. Like, okay, maybe you don't want to sit through 3 hours of Raw. You'll catch the highlights on YouTube or online, or you'll download it the following morning and just you'll read the results and you'll skip to what's good. Like, okay, Daniel Bryan turned babyface, so let's just skip to the last 10 minutes of Raw, so I
Yeah.
can see that rather than sitting through 2.5 hours. Or, oh, Roman Reigns did this kick off the floor to the apron or to the ropes. And
Right.
so, like, you might skip to what you hear is good, or
Right.
you'll hear the results on a podcast
Right.
the next morning.
Right.
Like, I know there's plenty of podcasts that just recap Raw the following morning. So, I mean, it's different from what it was 15 years ago during the Monday Night Wars, where it's like, oh, you got to catch one or
Yeah,
you
you
flip to the other.
couldn't miss Raw.
Like, I remember that one night that TNA and WWE went head
That
to
was the
head.
last time my channel surfed. But I had them all on both.
But
TVs.
even then, when it was Raw and Impact, I had the television playing Raw and I had my laptop playing Impact. So I was going back and like I had the luxury of watching both simultaneously, and if something was better on one rather than the other, like I know back in the day, you had to try to catch something good. Like,
yeah, you couldn't miss Raw.
was
You
like-
couldn't miss the wrestling back
yeah,
then.
it was like Raw. Oh, Raw commercial. Let's see what's going on Nitro. I'm sure that's when Nitro got their highest ratings, was during the Raw commercials. Like,
After a certain time.
Yeah.
According to history.
uh-huh.
It's just one of those things where it's like, back then television was a luxury. You couldn't miss your shows. Now between YouTube and
Hulu, and
Hulu,
everything.
DVR, there's no reason why you should
Downloading,
miss
like-
anything now.
Yeah.
Raw's still kind of hard.
Like when I went
the
to
network
the Raw,
comes out, it's
the Raw
different.
after Mania, the following morning, I had it on my iPad because I downloaded it just so I can go back and watch
Right.
it. So it's like,
I mean, it's just tough, but I just felt like I had to put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Television's totally different. Like, fans, WWE has every right to worry about the ratings. That's their job. Do I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes they get a little pissed about certain ratings they get? Yes, I do, because I feel like this is not a bad score to me.
yeah,
But I feel like, the wrestling fans always like, oh, well, what does WWE expect? Do they see that show? Or like,
Mm-hmm.
dude, again, it's like I said on one of the first shows. If all wrestling fans had all the right answers, don't you think we would all be employed?
yeah. I mean, even then, like, there's writers, like, that's, like, the one department that has the biggest turnover in that company is the writing.
Yeah, but that, you see,
I mean, that's also, like, schedule and...
it's tough because they hire writers from soap operas
Mm-hmm.
because rumor has it that they're cheaper to get. They'll work, for lower salaries. Here's the problem. And I get it. They may not be wrestling fans.
Yeah.
They're just writers.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, not every legend is going to have the best creative ideas. So, who's a wrestler right now on creative other than Michael Hayes, top of my head? On creative.
Is Dusty not with them?
Dusty is in creative.
Yeah.
But I think he's just more with the NXT right now. I'm sure he's got say on the main, but I know Arn's a road agent. I know the agents are in creative meetings, but I don't think they have any
They're coming up with stories.
ideas.
I don't know. I can't.
I just know Michael Hayes and Dusty.
Yeah.
Dean Malenko might be in creative.
Isn't he an agent?
He's an agent, but I think he also might be creative.
Mm-hmm.
I know Johnny Ace was head of talent relations at one point, and I know he would pitch some ideas. But then
Stephanie.
again, he was a wrestler
Well,
at one point.
Stephanie's head of creative.
No, not anymore. Now that's all Triple H.
Okay,
Stephanie's
so-
just doing the business. Stephanie's doing her job in Shane's now.
Okay.
And now Triple H is talent relations head.
All right.
Even though on Total Divas it's Shane Geets, sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just I don't know. So it's tough. Not every wrestler can come up with ideas on the regular. Number one, and number two, you have to be in tune with the current product.
Yeah.
The only person that seems qualified is Jake Roberts,
Uh-huh.
but I don't think he knows the roster as well as it sounds.
Uh-huh.
And maybe he doesn't. I'm not saying he's made any claims like that, but Jake Roberts would be a great fit for creative. But he said just for the fact that he's not a yes guy, so he may not be the best candidate for that job.
At least he's honest about
At
it.
least he's honest about it. I know my dream honestly is like, I think we have a chance of one day seeing like maybe Michaels. If you would ask me, like wrestlers, I think one day we can see Michaels, Edge, Taker, and Bret Hart in creative.
Wow.
And I honestly think we could see at least two of those guys at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly could see that.
Yeah. No, definitely. Any of those four would be great.
I don't see why. I don't. Taker will obviously still be signed with WWE after he retires.
Oh yeah.
Do I think he'll do the creative part? He's a long shot, but I'm sure he'll have input, kind of like what Pat Patterson does. A lot of those guys, they just don't want to do the travel.
Yeah.
When does Michael Hayes stop traveling? He hasn't wrestled for years, but he's still on every show. So I give it to him. You know, that's what it is. Like Joey Styles was asked, "Will we ever see you commentate again?" And he was like, "Well, if it involves me not leaving my family, absolutely."
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. But not everything in wrestling is going to be perfect. I just think like certain fans have the idea if
Well, that's
they
what
didn't come
pisses
up.
me off. I just feel like that's what's so annoying about it. I feel like they'll complain about anything. Like,
Yeah, they will.
oh, we want Punk to be champion. Then, oh, Punk's been champion for too long. He's overrated. I feel like
But then when we lose the belt, why didn't they take it off of Punk?
yeah. I feel like when we give...
That was a real tough time, too, when they were getting on Punk.
Yeah, like...
That was real tough.
When
IWC
they
was
were...
real fucking rude.
Like, they would bitch and complain that they want things a certain way. Then when they get, like, a taste of it, then it's like, oh, but it's too much. It's like, I get to the point where I sometimes get annoyed with wrestling fans. No offense, but... Not to you, but to whoever's...
Oh, yeah, no, I get that.
I just feel like sometimes, like, their expectations are really unrealistic. Like, we have to understand that WWE is a corporation. You know, like, as much as I do want to see Daniel Bryan and CM Punk headline WrestleMania. And,
I'm not holding my breath.
yeah.
I just feel like with wrestling fans, if they didn't come up with the idea, it's not good.
And then if they do, they complain about how it was pulled off or how it was
Right.
executed.
I've sat here and mentioned that I can come up with ideas and book things like that.
Yeah.
However, I've never said I've done it in the sense of like for a future plan.
I mean, there's times
like
where...
last week, I mentioned how I would have tied in Daniel Bryan and The Undertaker right after the Wyatt feud.
Yeah.
I didn't say, nothing was done wrong. I didn't say that, it's my idea.
I mean, there's times where I've sat there and before something happens, I'll predict it and it comes true. Like, I remember I was watching WrestleMania 28 at my best friend's house and I was like, oh man, like when Daniel Bryan kissed AJ, I was like, imagine if like, Sheamus just gives him a broad kick and pins him and he loses the belt like that. And Frankie was like, oh no, don't say that, boss, don't say that. And it happened. I remember when there was the rumors of when Brock first came back and attacked Vince. I remember posting online maybe like a half hour before it happened. I was like, Brock's gonna come out, attack Vince. He's gonna tell him Vince is gonna Vince was gonna attempt when he was gonna fire Heyman, right? And I was like, okay, they're gonna have that interaction. He's gonna say that he's gonna fire Heyman. Brock's gonna come out, F5 Vince, and that's gonna lead into the feud with Hunter. And that happened, and I posted it on Facebook like a half hour before it happened.
Well, the rematch, because that was for the rematch.
Yeah, for Mania. And I remember I posted it on Facebook like a half hour before it happened, and they were like, oh shit, like you should write for them. And it's like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, some are obvious, some aren't. Like, I mean, there's times where you just see it, there's times where you don't. Like, I wasn't expecting the Daniel Bryan switch to happen that soon. I mean, I was at one point I was like, okay, well, they're in the cage. Kane has access to unlock the cage. Maybe,
right.
Like, if he doesn't do it now, like, I don't see when he would do it.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's tons of things to talk about. And again, like, it kind of comes down, we're at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think Rumble's going to help the idea, but, people talking Hall of Fame, people talking WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Nobody should be talking anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
After Rumble, say whatever you want, I guess, because we're used to the picture being a little clearer.
Well, like I said in the past, I feel like I'm excited for Rumble and Mania because last year I felt like, okay, Cena's going to win the Rumble. He's going to fight The Rock. Punk's going to fight Taker. Hunter's going to fight Brock. It was predictable for like a few months before Mania. I feel like right now it's like there's some things that are set, but you don't know for sure. Like, right. It is like there's just like a lot of factors, like who's going to win the Rumble. We got Batista coming back. We got Brock, the Taker,
right.
The title picture, Punk and Triple H, Daniel Bryan, like Roman Reigns ascending. Like, we got so many factors going in right now that we don't know for sure like what's going to happen. It's not as predictable as it was last year.
Even though next week we're going to talk about this on the Royal Rumble themed episode. Just real quick, WWE did that list: greatest Rumble competitors of all time. Top 5 Rumble competitors of all time. Your idea, your theory.
From what they posted?
No. I want your list. I don't agree with their list at all.
As much as I'm a Shawn mark, I'd probably put Austin, then Shawn.
Okay.
Then maybe Hogan, Flair, Cena.
I'll go Austin.
Mm-hmm.
I will go. My number 2 would actually be Hogan.
Okay.
My 3 is gonna be Kane.
Mm-hmm.
My 4 would be Flair. And my 5 would be Rick Martel.
Okay.
And I'm going to put Rick Martel because Rick Martel had the record before Flair did it. I think Martel, it's not going to sound like a lot, but I think Martel was in there for like 25 or so minutes, and he was one of like the final 6.
Okay.
So he was like
At that time, it was a
he was the
big deal.
first guy to set a record in the Rumble.
Yeah.
For a time record. That's why he's on there. Hogan, first guy to win it back-to-back. Easily in a lot of eliminations on there. Kane, self-explanatory. Austin, self-explanatory. Michael, self-explanatory. While Flair has not had many Royal Rumble appearances,
His one appearance was
his
great.
one appearance was beautiful. Had the record until literally 10 years later. You know, so, oh no, actually, no, 12 years later, I'm sorry. And to me, you know, just that performance was amazing.
Yeah.
I know that it even was on WWE.com.
And it's hard to put Sean up there, like, I guess from going 1 to 30, like we mentioned last week, just because that Rumble was
So expedited.
It was 45 seconds intervals, I think,
Yeah.
or a minute. And like that Rumble was only about a half hour long, and the roster was a lot thinner. Like I feel like when Flair did it, he might not have been number 1, but he was number 3?
He was 3. I just watched it this morning.
Yeah, and just the roster was like
Amazing.
That Hogan, Piper, Sid, Taker,
Savage,
Savage.
Kerry Von Erich,
Yeah.
Jake Roberts, DiBiase, the Bulldog. There's not. It's one of those things like, yeah, there's names missing, but they weren't needed. You know.
Yeah.
So it's tough, and we're gonna have a lot of Royal Rumble themes next week. Hopefully, maybe Jamal Jackson will show his yellow face here in the studio to join us for Royal Rumble conversations. And with that said, when we come back, it's time to rumble. It's time to rebook a Royal Rumble.
For Life Podcast.
.com.
It's time to rumble! It's time to rebook the Royal Rumble!
All right, so we lost our little hat with all the years in it, so I had
Yeah.
my lovely girlfriend pick a random year, and she picked 95 as Cheyenne predicted.
Our executive producer, thank you.
So, 1995, that was the year that Shawn Michaels won. We were just talking about it a few minutes ago. He was the first person to win, being the number 1 entrant. Him and Bulldog both went coast to coast. Diesel and Bret Hart fought to a draw. That was
I
a
should
pretty
watch
good.
that match later.
Bob Holly and 1-2-3 Kid defeated Tatanka and Bam Bam in the finals of the tag tournament.
Bleh.
Undertaker defeated IRS. And Jeff Jarrett defeated Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental title. Surprising fact, Scott Hall has never been in a Rumble match.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Those few years that he was with the WWE, he was always involved in a singles match.
And a singles or championship high-profile matchup.
I think they were all championships.
His first Rumble
first
was
one was
Bret
against Bret
in
for the
main
title.
event, well, the main belt match.
Yeah, 94, I think he fought IRS.
That sounds right.
95, Jarrett. 96, Goldust.
And
And
then
that was the
he's
last
poof.
Rumble he was there for.
And then poof.
2002, he came back in February.
Right.
So, let's see. Obviously, I wouldn't change Shawn Michaels winning. Well, first, I mean, the roster was just
Let's see who's on it.
really thin at that time.
Come on. Jimmy Del Rey, Tom Pritchard, Doink, Rick Martel, Lex Luger, Bob Backlund, and Adam Bomb. And Crush. Any of those guys could have won.
Okay.
And Sloan. Oh, or Sione. Sorry, Sione.
Mantar.
Mantar's a good pick.
Henry Godwin. Aldo
Henry Godwin.
Montoya. The Duns.
Hello, Mo.
Faux show. The Bushwhackers. Owen Hart. Rick
Dick
Martel.
Murdoch! Dick Murdoch's been in a Rumble, and Scott Hall hasn't. Come on!
Quang. What's that say? Stone? Oh, Sione.
I thought it was Sloan, but it's Sione, a.k.a. The Barbarian.
Duke Drosy. Let me see. As far as the tag titles, I think weren't like the Smoking Guns injured, and Kid and Holly took their place.
Yeah.
And that was also the beginning of the Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam
The
feud.
LTE feud that night. This is a shitty Rumble, so let's just try to rebook it. Go for it.
Undertaker fought IRS. I guess he was feuding with the $1 Million Corporation at that
Yeah,
time.
and then that leads into
King Kong Bundy.
King Kong Bundy, and some stuff with Kama going on too. That's another fuzzy feud because Taker was feuding like 3 people at once.
Razor and Jeff Jarrett. I think that was fine, right?
I would leave Razor and Jeff. Yeah, I would leave Razor and Jeff.
You know what? There's not much to talk about. My girlfriend also picked 2002, so let's just do 2002 while we're at it.
This is just because you're mad because I predicted that she was gonna pick. Listen, I'm gonna go. Heavenly Bodies win the tournament instead of Holly and Kid, and they beat Bam Bam and Tatanka, and they're the tag team champions. I'm gonna go Shawn Michaels enters at 1, and I'm gonna go Bob Backlund enters at 2, just for the sake of it.
Okay.
Michaels wins the Rumble, and then I'll keep Razor and Jeff, and then I'll book Brett and Owen
for the title.
2 out of 3 falls, just to have a different match. But the Brett Diesel match, that match is good.
No, but Diesel was the champion at the time.
Not Brett. Yeah, well, I'll put the belt on Brett, I guess. That Diesel and Brett match is good, but the one that they had in your house when Brett wins a small package is way better.
Yeah, that was way better.
Yeah, so go ahead, 2002, you little crybaby.
Okay, that was Spike Dudley and Taz defeated the Dudley Boys
In a good match.
for the tag titles. 5-minute match. William
Was
Regal.
it? No, it wasn't.
5 minutes and 6 seconds.
No, it was.
I have my Wikipedia open.
I do too. I just have it on 95 because I thought this was gonna be over because I won. This is why you knew you had this prepared. I
didn't. April doesn't know
You're a
anything
sore
about the Rumbles.
loser. You're a sore ass loser.
Okay, William Regal defeated Edge for the Intercontinental
How
title.
long was that match? 4 minutes?
10 minutes. 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh God.
Trish defeated Jazz. 3.5 minutes.
No, it fucking wasn't.
3 minutes and
43 seconds. I see it now.
Ric Flair defeated Vince McMahon.
Show stealer. Show stealer.
Jericho defeated The Rock. And,
Very good match.
Yes. And Triple H won the Rumble, eliminating Kurt Angle at the end. The Final Four was Angle, Triple H, Mr. Perfect, and Stone Cold. I remember 1 and 2 that year, I think, were Rikishi and Goldust.
Rikishi and Goldust, you're correct.
I remember because those are like the 2 characters that my grandma's familiar with. Both eliminated by The Undertaker. A lot of people eliminated by The Undertaker.
Yeah,
1,
Taker
2,
stole the
3,
show
4,
at
5,
that
6,
Rumble.
7.
Well, yeah, I guess. No, Perfect stole the show, but
Yeah.
Taker's number 2. Well, and Maven, can't say that. All right, so let me hear your rebooking ideas because you had to do this, Jamie.
Don't be an asshole, Shay. I mean, I would have booked Triple H winning just because of the comeback and leading into him and Jericho. Did Austin not wrestle on this card?
He's in the Rumble.
Oh, yeah.
I think Angle takes him out. I think. And then he comes in and hits everybody with a chair.
Stone Cold. Steve Austin. Yeah, he was eliminated by Angle.
Yeah. See?
Remember Taker was eliminated by Maven.
And that Rumble doesn't feel like an hour and 9 minutes. That Rumble doesn't feel long.
Mm-hmm. DDP was in this one.
Yep, that's right. He got eliminated way too fast.
How long did DDP last in there? 5 minutes.
The Godfather was in for 1 minute and 48 seconds. Albert was in for 48 seconds.
Oh, last year the Godfather was in there about 2 seconds.
Yep. Hurricane is in for 39 seconds. Farouk for 36 seconds. Wow.
Booker 33 seconds.
Wow.
Has Booker ever lasted long in the Rumble?
No, not to my knowledge.
Like to my, I don't ever remember him. No, I think 2005 he was in there for a while.
When he came out with the tights and he got thrown out, he was in there for
No,
like a minute.
that wasn't 2005. I think that might have been like 06.
Oh, 05 was the pewter one, right?
Yeah.
He's in there for a while.
Yeah.
He's in there for a while when they all
Because I know even
beat
the year that he
Pewter.
made the surprise comeback, he was in.
Yeah,
with
they
the
got
Nexus.
his ass out.
Yeah.
They got his ass out. All right, so let's rebook this.
Okay.
Holy shit, Perry Saturn's in that Rumble. Yes, he is. I just saw this the other day and I forgot.
The Hardys came out back to back. They do that a lot.
They do that a lot.
I maybe would have given maybe would have started with like Angle and Perfect.
That's your open?
Yeah. Just because they've never wrestled.
Okay.
That would have been fun. But then that would have, like, if they would have been in the Final Four, they would have had to last the whole thing. I mean, they probably could have gone to, like, the Final Four, maybe, and then had Austin and Triple H be the final
cool.
two.
That would have been cool. Even though in theory that's not right. Do you know why that's good and bad? Because when Austin comes in, he eliminated everybody.
Yeah,
And then Triple H comes in with a clear path. So
that's true.
that's it. That's, again, you'd have to rebook the whole Rumble.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. Like, if you, like, kind of like what I mentioned for this year, where, like, putting Bryan coast to coast.
Right.
But then that would take away from, like, Roman Reigns eliminating everybody. So it's just, I mean, God bless the people that book these Rumbles and put them together. I'm pretty sure that's a pain in the ass.
Oh, I can imagine how much of a headache that is.
I can't even imagine complaining about it because it's like you got to book 30 guys, get storylines across, like have everybody come out at the right time, right moments. Like, I've always wondered, like, what happens if, like, let's say, like, Shawn was doing one of his, like, eliminations.
Right.
Like, where he's, like,
I
he's
was
close
thinking
to
about
being
that this
eliminating, and, like, what if he accidentally, like, does get eliminated and, like, he's scheduled to win? Like, what would happen? Like, at least, like, when it happened with Batista and Cena, they were the final two, so they both went, and they both went out at the same time.
Right.
So, like, you were able to work with that, but, like, let's say, like, I don't know, let's say, like, Shawn was, like, teetering at the top rope and, like, slipped and fell out the ring.
Yeah.
How would they book around that? Like,
You can't undo it.
yeah.
You can only go forwards. So you're going perfect at Angle. Your first two. Who's your final four?
I mean, even if they do get eliminated earlier by Austin,
Who's your final four?
then I would have. Then I can't have them as my final four, can I?
No, you cannot.
So then Austin, Triple H, Kane and Big Show, I guess.
And your winner is?
Hunter.
Okay.
Just because it was his comeback.
Any matches you want to book?
Rock and Jericho. I just feel like at that time we saw Chris Jericho beat Rock and Austin in the same night. Then the next month he fought The Rock. Then the following month he fought Austin. Like,
Right. I'm actually gonna keep Flair, Vince.
That was good.
I'm gonna keep Jericho, Rock.
Okay.
I'm gonna do, just for the sake of doing it, I'm gonna do Regal versus Lance Storm instead.
Okay.
Intercontinental title.
Maybe Trish and Lita.
You can do Trish and Lita. The only downside is that Lita's gone from that injury, number one.
Okay.
And then number two, Jazz is the one feuding with Trish.
All right.
And, Jazz is fresh off that black hole slam from hell at Survivor Series.
And Spike and Taz versus the Dudley Boys.
I like that match. It was apparently 5 minutes.
All right.
My openers for the Rumble are going to be Billy and Chuck.
It's just hard to rebook these Rumbles.
Yeah,
Maybe
my
we'll
one,
have better
my
luck.
1 and 2 is Billy and Chuck. My final four is Perfect, Triple H, RVD, and Austin. And I'll have Triple H win again, especially since by that time it's Austin again in the main event. So like if you switch it to him again, it's like come on now, he's doing Cena stuff.
Yeah.
So those are my picks for the 2002 and the 1995.
All right.
Rumble, so I don't turn into a bigger asshole. Next week, it's actually here. It's time to really rumble.
We can book next week. We can book this year's Rumble.
I like that. We'll book next. We'll do
Because
that.
I feel like this is maybe it was a good idea in theory, but I realize it's just like
It's a pain in the ass.
like we're sitting there
It's
like
because this one is a tough Rumble. The first two that we booked weren't.
But I feel like we're staring at these like, okay, what would we change? And then we end up changing shit for the sake of changing it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it'll. I don't know. We'll see. But we can come up with a better theme for Mania, or what we can do leading up to Mania.
Next week's gonna be cool. We're gonna do greatest Rumble competitors of all time. We're gonna talk about Rumble moments and Rumble memories, and
All right, that's a lot easier.
we'll do that, and maybe we could book this year's Rumble.
I think that'll be better.
That'll be
we'll
cool.
make our predictions,
And
then
we'll do surprise entrance. That'd be cool.
Well, we can make like a list of predictions we can make, and then the following week we can see how we did.
Right.
Prediction wise.
Right. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
So.
And maybe, just maybe, we'll have some guests here next week. Just maybe. I don't want to get punched in the face, so I'll say just maybe we'll have some guests here.
This could be a big like movement for us.
This could be a big movement, a yellow-bellied cowardice movement for us. Could be.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
Have a great week, everybody.
Get ready for the Rumble.
Support indie wrestling.
Support indie wrestling. ForLifePodcast.com.
ForLifePodcast.com.
Everything you need for life on there. Our social media contact.
Except
if you guys are listening, Send us some questions so we can answer
Send
them.
us some emails.
Good, bad. I mean, there's a little form on the site that
Tell
you can.
Bob she's a social media whore. He loves that.
I already know this.
He loves hearing it again
And again.
and again.
Because when you're listening to your podcast, you're listening
Listen
to it
for life. Guys.
Stop recording.